Hey guys, Aeonhack here, and this is the third installment in this little video series I'm doing about server-client applications. So, in the last video, we covered packet headers and serialization, I believe. And in this video, what we're going to be covering is user states. So, if you haven't seen the first two videos, you should definitely go do that right now. Otherwise, you'd be totally lost. So, I'm just going to get right into this. So in Form 1, we're going to handle the authorized packet header now, which we discussed in episode 2. um, so where do we go here? Let's add a little, oops, did not mean to do that. We're just going to add a little password protection to our little chat here. Copy this button, move it over here. Move that up because it's just going to bother me. Put a label. Password. There I go, tune it again. Always the second letter of every word. It's really irritating. Okay. So before we get into this, we need to actually create a new packet sender, just to make life easier for ourselves. Send authorized packet. And we're just rename this password. Whoa, what on earth just happened? Okay, that looks good to me. So send authorized packets. And then the password will be textbox3.text. That looks good. Oh, wait, what's happening here? What is the problem? Oh, text length. I just need to slow down and pay attention, I guess. Okay, so this actually looks good to me. This is about all there is to it client side. Pretty simple. Now let's go over here to the server. And right down here, we're just going to add a new class. We're going to call it user. It's important to use a class here because they are reference objects as opposed to structures, which are not. And basically what this means is you could do something like, well, if I remember, I'll show you guys in a second what I mean. Let's just create a new boolean here. So public authorized as boolean. And right when someone connects to us, we want to assign them a new user object. That way, if they disconnect, we still have access to it. Or any event that's raised really with the client, we want to access it. So client user state equals new user. That way it's just there to use. We don't have to do any null checks on it. It's much more convenient that way. Next up, we need to handle it. So case authorize. Add a new packet handler. Handle authorize packets. We can get rid of this, we won't be using it. So what we'll be doing here is just declare a new password, or a new variable name password. Dim password as string, and it equals this little bit of direct casting here that I saved for later. And if password equals the word root, then we're going to set their user state authorized to true. And the way we do this, we're going to do direct cast client user state user authorized true. And see, this is what I was talking about before. If this were a structure, you would not be able to do this. You cannot direct cast the client user state to user and set authorized to true. You'd have to totally reset the value. You'd have to do something along the lines of dim_t is user equals direct cast client user state t dot, oops, I forgot to t dot authorized equals true, and then you have to reset it. So you have to do client user state equals t. So you can see why it's better to use classes because they're reference objects. And also, if you were to do it this way, you'd be more likely to run into race conditions. So definitely avoid that altogether if you can. Okay, so this looks good to me. I guess we should probably put in a check here, and we'll just do it right here in the handle chatter packet. We'll do if they're not authorized, we're just not going to rebroadcast their chat messages to other users connected to the server. So let's rebuild our chat application here, the client. Rebuild the server. Now let's debug the server and run 2 instances of the chat program. Okay. Hope I'm not going too fast either. So I'm just going to type in just a message here to demonstrate. So it's not working. If not authorized. Did I forget something here? Yes, I did. Oh, actually, okay. Why didn't you guys tell me I did that? First of all, we had to actually handle the authorized packet here, so don't forget to put that. Getting way too ahead of myself. And also, we put this not here, so it's only people that aren't authorized that would be able to send chat messages, which is the total opposite of what we want. And I blame you all for not correcting me on that. Which, for the record, I'm not doing a live stream, so you wouldn't be able to do that, just in case anybody's curious about that. I'm just being sarcastic. Run another instance of the chat program here. And there it is. So now it should not get this test message. Okay, so it didn't get it. But if we put in, we'll put in an incorrect password first, and then we'll try sending our test message again. Doesn't work. If we put in root and authorize, it says, yay, test, it's broadcasting our messages now. So it's obviously working. Now, of course, if you were to actually do this, I would recommend that you send a response to the authorized packet telling them whether or not it was successful or not. But I'm going to leave you guys to do that. I think at this point you should know how to do that without any trouble. So yeah, you're on your own. And that's really the best way to learn anyways, is trial and error. And you really got to get hands-on with it. So I guess since we have time here, we're at about the 8-minute mark. I think I can demonstrate a file transfer system. Hopefully. So let's go ahead and just add some progress bars. And we're going to use these to just kind of, they'll be really useful when displaying the file transfers. This is 1, this is 2, okay. Now, of course, since I'm on localhost, these are just going to move instantly. But for your own application, when you're in a real-life situation, you're not going to have to... I don't know what I'm saying. Just ignore me. So this will just be read, and this is going to be write. Since the last video, video 2, I did add some events to the client here, the read progress changed event and write progress changed. So let's go ahead and handle that. So progress bar 1 value equals cint progress. As you can see here, it is double, so we need to cast it to an int. And there's a gnat on my monitor, which is really, really annoying. If anybody lives kind of... Well, I live in Arkansas, so plenty of insects to go around. I think it's labeled 2 and 3. So we're going to do here a string format. Red. Oops. Let's do this. And I will explain this here in a second. Okay, so right here we also have the bytes read parameter and the bytes to read, which is obviously the current value and the maximum value. And If you'll notice here, I added this little colon in 0. So this tells the string format method to format the first and second parameters here. And the format we're doing this in, the n represents a numeric value. And that just tells it to add commas and stuff as our thousand separators. And the 0 tells it that there are 0 decimal places. So it's not going to do like 0.12. Just do just the full number. Let's go ahead and do the same thing down here. Change this to write. Bytes written. And bytes to write. Alright. Save that there. And we need to go ahead and add a new packet header here. File transfer. Now normally I would probably recommend having 2 headers, one for file transfer and one for begin file transfer. That way you could tell the server that you want to perform a file transfer and send like the size of the file ahead of time so that it can dynamically set the max packet size for like temporarily for that client. And that way you can just kind of do load balancing, so you only allow maybe 2 or 3 file transfers at a time per all the users or per user or whatever. Well, I guess you can't really do it per user because you just send 1 packet at a time, so disregard that. And we're gonna need a button here, which I should have thought about in hindsight. Button 3, and it's just gonna be a little browse button. So dim O as new open file dialog, O.filter equals all files. We shall not show any prejudice toward files, file extensions. If not O show dialog equals OK, then return. So if they cancel out the dialog or they don't select the file or whatever, it's just going to exit out of the method. It's just going to return, not continue on. Otherwise, we want to get the file name, dim file name as string equals IO path, get file name. And this is kind of misleading because the open file dialog says file name, but it's actually the file, like the full file path. And path get file name just gets the file name without the path. So if it's C program data program.exe, then this will just get program.exe. Now we also want the file data, so dim file data as byte equals IO file read all bytes O.file name. And then right here we handle our packet sender. So let's go up here and create a packet sender really quick. Send file transfer packet. Okay, and that's going to need a file name as string and file data as bytes. Oh, I almost forgot to change the header. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so that looks pretty good to me. One thing to note here is you may have to change the max packet size. And you could do that right here. And you can do it at any time, before or after connecting. This applies to server side as well. So max packet size, by default it's set to 10 megabytes. You may even want to just change that to 2 kilobytes so that you don't have people sending you huge chunks of data that you just don't want to handle. I'm going to change it to 15 million, roughly 14 or 15 megabytes there. It is a size in bytes, so I already know that the file I want to send over is about 12 megabytes big. And actually this does not apply to outgoing packets, so I don't even really need to send this. But if I were to have another client, or if the server were to send me a file that someone else was uploading, I would definitely need to adjust this here to receive files bigger than, you know, whatever you have your limit set to. Okay, so this looks good to me. Let's go ahead and change we'll implement it in the server now. So we need to add the file transfer header. I believe, yeah, okay. Just want to make sure I set that correctly. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and change the max packet size on the server to just 2 kilobytes maximum. And this way we can make it so that we're not going to get spammed with huge chunks of data. And when someone authorizes, they won't increase their limit because they're a valid user, so we can go ahead and do that. And we can just do that up here in the handle authorized packet. We're send to client max packet size equals 15 million. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Make sure that's the right size there. Yeah, it is. And of course, you can set this right here. This is the default for all sockets when they connect. You can set this before or after listen, doesn't matter. And here you can do on a per socket basis. So that looks fine. We need a handle file transfer method here. We're just going to declare the file name and the file data. Dim file name as string equals directcast. Value is 1, the first parameter is a string, and then dim file data as byte equals directcast. Values 2, the third parameter, as a byte. And then we're going to do IO file write all bytes, file name, file data. And this, since we just have the file name here, it's going to save it relative to the server path. Okay, so we just replace the code inside of this if statement here. So that looks fine to me. It should save that now. We need to handle it down here. So case file transfer. Handle file transfer packet, client, and values. Okay, so this should work in theory, hopefully. Yeah, it looks fine to me. Let's go ahead and just rebuild our chat program here and debug our server. And just to demonstrate what would happen if I did not authorize before I did this, or just send this MP3 here, portal acres of broken glass or whatever. And you can see here that the server side socket said the packet size exceeds max packet size, and it disconnected the client. So pretty convenient. Let's go ahead and run it again and authorize this time. Which in our code will change the max packet size. Okay, now we should be able to successfully send this. But before I do that, let's go ahead and open the folder that our server is in so we can see the file being created. Okay, just like that. And you can see right there where it uploaded. And it gave us the progress feedback, and it's created the file over here. No errors on the server. Awesome. Let's just go ahead and verify the integrity of that. The original file with a hash of 9368 and the file we just received, and the hash matches. Alright, so that about concludes this video. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. I think in the next video I'm going to cover secure communications with a RSA handshake, which is public key encryption, asymmetric encryption, and backed by symmetric encryption, of course. So stay tuned for that. It sounds exciting, right? See you guys then.